I'm always confident in one Sheil Kapadia of The Ringer, who joins us now. What's up, Sheil?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Sheil, are you?
What's up, brother?
Are you scared of the Dodgers? Uh-oh, we're
I'm
losing.
excited. It's what Ike said. We wait all year. You go through 162 games to get to this point, and I like that the Phillies are slight underdogs. We didn't do so well when they were heavy favorites against the New York Mets. So now you can play a little bit of the, hey, everyone's picking the Dodgers. They're supposed to win anyway, and now you can smack them down. Phillies in 5.
Oh, there we go. Phillies in 5. Oh, man, if it goes 5, can't they just win in 4? I don't want it to go 5. I don't want it to go 5.
Well, as long as we win.
Yes, but that game 5. I'm an older man, Sheil. I don't know if my heart can take a game 5 here.
I know.
So, A.J. Brown is not an older man. He is a younger man. He is acting a bit like a younger man is. I would ask you this, Sheil. When we talk about the A.J. Brown situation, forget about the locker room stuff and all of that stuff. From an on-the-field standpoint, the question I'm trying to figure out is, why can't they find a way? What is it? Is it routes? Is it Jalen? Is it A.J.? Why have they had such a hard time finding a way to get A.J. Brown the ball consistently?
Yeah, it feels like every time this pops up, it's a different thing, honestly, and maybe it's a combination of all those things. I think earlier in the season, you could say, well, they're running the football a lot. They aren't passing it a lot. And then you could say, well, the coaching staff, they're not really doing a whole lot to scheme up opportunities for A.J. Brown. And then A.J. Brown told us, well, teams aren't really playing man coverage against us. And so there's always a safety over the top. I thought this last game was different because he got 9 targets. And if you watch those targets in the second half, he didn't even have a chance to make a play. Like Jalen Hurts usually has been a very accurate downfield passer, but in this game, they're calling double moves for A.J. Brown. So the ball's supposed to go to him, and Jalen Hurts sailed the ball out of bounds a couple times and was late on another throw. So it's not one thing. It's been a bunch of different things, but I'm with you. It shouldn't be this hard to get one of the best wide receivers in the NFL in a position where he can impact the game.
Well, listen, Sheil, we spent a lot of time this week talking about AJ and his tweets and him getting targets, and rightfully so. It's been the focal point of a lot of our discussion. Very little has been discussed about Jalen and his ability to get the guy to football when he's supposed to. And as much as I love the kid and all the things that he brings to the table, he has to do a better job playing the quarterback position and giving his receiver an opportunity to make catches. Some of those routes A.J. ran last week, they were uncatchable balls. Like Jalen didn't give him a chance to catch the ball. You got to at least give the guy a chance to make a 50-50 catch. I don't care if you are averse to turnovers and all of that. Man, just give the guy an opportunity to make a catch. Would you agree with that, or am I overreacting to that part of it? Yeah, sounds like he agrees with me.
And it is not somebody who's going to create like monster separation, and it's going to be like, all right, this is wide open.
I'm sorry, Sheil. I'm sorry. You cut out a little bit. Would you start that answer over for us again?
Thank you, Ike.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those things where they're calling plays for A.J. Brown, and it's a double move on the outside, and he's not someone who has to create massive separation. Like you said, Ike, you got to give him an opportunity, and those balls were sailing 3 feet out of bounds, and so those were issues. There were other ones where I thought Jalen Hurts was a little bit late there. So, again, I'm not saying that's what happens every time. That's not what happens every game, but that is what happened in the second half last week. When the quarterback doesn't complete a pass in the second half, I think it's fair to criticize a lot of people, including the quarterback. You can't be having halves where you don't complete a pass. So I think that's definitely a part of it. There's no doubt about it.
So let me ask you this, Sheil. When you look at the numbers last year, Jalen, way better, or the pass game in general, I won't put it on Jalen specifically, the pass game in general, way more successful against man defense than zone. So this year, the same thing. And it was interesting because the Bucs were blitzing the hell out of them in the first half, and they were taking care of it, to their credit. As soon as the Bucs stopped blitzing and just sat back there, they looked flummoxed. So what prevents every other team in the NFL from looking at what the Bucs did in the second half there and just doing the exact same thing? If you're the Eagles, how do you beat that?
Thing is, This has been the book against the Eagles for multiple years now, where if you play, kind of soft zone coverage, Jalen Hurts' numbers are not nearly as good as they've been when you're playing man coverage. So what gets them out of that? I think if you're running the football really effectively, now they're just going to have one safety back there. They're going to have another safety down, and maybe they're still playing zone coverage, but you still have opportunities on the outside if they're playing those types of zone coverages. So it is all connected. I think if the run game were more prolific and you were creating more explosive plays, then maybe you could get out of some of those coverages. But you are right. I mean, if I'm a defense and game planning for the Eagles, that's what I'm doing. I'm saying it's not blitz Jalen Hurts heavily anymore. That's not the book to beat the Eagles. It's, hey, let's make him hold on to the football. Is he going to be patient? Is he going to throw the football? Are these guys going to get open? Do the pass concepts get them open against zone coverage? That's another great question to ask too. I would argue no. And so I would expect teams to play that way. Now, I will say this matchup this week, the Broncos are more of a man coverage team. They're one of the most heavy man coverage teams in the NFL. So this will be a good indicator. Do they change what they do because they say that's what gives Jalen Hurts problems, or do they come in and say, we're going to do what we do because we can play it really well?
And last thing before, because you mentioned the run game, I wanted to ask you about that, is we've started to see Jalen did a really good job in the first game not getting sacked, right? He had a really high sack rate last year. I think it was 10% or something. But it really has started to tick up as the season has gone on. I think he's 23rd in the league now in sack rate. It's over 7%. So is that him holding on to the ball, not able to find a receiver? Is that sort of how the sacks are being created?
Last year, there was a good degree of that. I wouldn't say that's been the issue this year. I mean, some of the sacks, like, Matt Pryor gets a couple games ago, he's just getting killed right away, and it's like you have no chance. Saquon Barkley has had some issues in blitz pickup as well. It's not always the offensive line, but I think it's also fair to say, hey, the interior specifically of this offensive line has not performed as well as it did last year. So I actually don't think the sacks this year, I haven't gone back and looked at every single one, but just anecdotally, I would say less of those are on Jalen Hurts than they were maybe last year.
Well, I'm an equal opportunist here, Sheil. So now I'm moving to the coaches. They get a little piece of this as well. Now, Jalen in this offense, other than the running game last year, but the offense, primarily the passing game, has not looked the same since 2022 when Shane Steichen was here. We can all agree with that. When Brian Johnson was the OC, didn't look good. Last year, the passing offense didn't look good. The running game did, but the passing offense didn't. And this year, we're back to really neither one of them looking good. So I'm just wondering how much of the influence from a schematic standpoint is contributing to the L's of this offense as well. Like some of this has to be scheme, I would imagine, when we're talking about both run and pass not being explosive like we've seen it in the past.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think if you look at the collection of talent and say this is the performance you're putting out on the field, other coaches around the NFL would say, I wish I had that collection of talent. We'd be performing a lot better. So it's a bunch of different things. I don't think they run a high volume passing game. I think they have their core concepts that they like to use over and over again. And that's okay to do, but you have to dress it up differently so that it's not as predictable. I mean, some of those plays we talked about, Jalen Hurts throwing to A.J. Brown, the corners were sitting on those plays and they were not threatened that, hey, they're going to run something intricate here and they're going to fool us and we're going to give up an explosive play. And so they're able to jump those routes and create pass breakups there. So I think that's one thing. I think what we just talked about, man versus zone. Are you calling passing concepts that do a good job attacking the different holes in zone coverage? Or are they things that, nope, the defense is going to kind of know what you're doing here and they might be better against man coverage? I think you see some of that on film as well. So, yeah, they've got to do their part. It's been an ongoing conversation. I know we spent a lot of minutes talking about it last year. It feels like, this team, I swear, it's like you could describe they're a drama-filled team that never loses. So
That's true.
This is a pretty good team to talk about because fans are into it. They never lose. They might go to the Super Bowl, yet there's no shortage of concerns or drama with this football team.
So Saquon, 3.1 yards a rush, has not had a rush longer than 16 yards this year. Is it the offensive line? Is it the play calling? Is it Saquon, or like the passing game, is it a little bit of everything?
I keep looking at it, and there is a case to say, all right, he had a heavy workload last year, and you know what? Just typically in the NFL, you're not going to be the same guy. I can only say what I see kind of with my eyes, and he looks like when he gets those opportunities, I still see the flashes of, no, this is the same explosive player we saw last year. I think the run blocking has not been nearly as good as it was last year. And if you look at different numbers, yards before contact, it would back that up. And so I think part of it is the interior of the offensive line. Landon Dickerson doesn't look quite to be the same player he was last year. He had the injury in the summer. Cam Jurgens had the offseason surgery, and then Tyler Steen is playing guard for the first time. So I think those guys have not created quite the same space that the group did last year. And then their tight ends are a real issue in run blocking. I know it's not the most exciting topic, but when you just rewatch a lot of these plays where Saquon Barkley is getting stuffed at or behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of times it's because a tight end is kind of just got ragdolled by an edge defender, and all of a sudden he's getting hit in the backfield. So I don't think it is Saquon Barkley. I'm not telling you you're wrong if you do think, hey, he doesn't look like quite the same guy. I feel like it's a lot of the other factors that I just mentioned. And I also feel like they're not that far off. Like, I do think there's going to be a game here in the next 2 or 3 weeks where we say, okay, they found it. Saquon Barkley ran for 140 yards and he broke off a long run. So I'm slightly concerned, but I also think there's a chance they kind of find some answers pretty soon with that stuff.
Sheil, how does this defense match up against the Denver offense?
Yeah, so the two things, it's kind of like, I know you love the NBA spike. It's kind of like a layups and three-pointers type offense where they're throwing a lot of screens with Bo Nix, get the ball out of his hands, and the Eagles handled those plays better than any defense in the NFL. I mean, their tackling last week was awesome. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Zach Bond, those guys were so impressive. So I think they've got that handled. The other thing the Broncos do is they scheme up explosive plays in the passing game. Sean Payton's really good at that. And so you have to keep an eye on that in this game. Now, Bo Nix hasn't made a lot of those plays. He's missed a lot of those throws this year, but those opportunities are there for them. So that's kind of what they want to do. Like, I don't think they're going to sustain a lot of 9, 10, 11 play drives against this Eagles defense, but I think they're going to come in and say, hey, let's try to make sure we create some explosives and we come out of there in a close game that we can steal in the fourth quarter.
Jack, what is Sheil's record picking the Eagles games this year?
Good old 1 and 3.
Keeping track.
Wow, 1 and 3.
Yeah, I was told.
Wow.
Who asked Jack to keep track?
Yeah, I wonder who. Who could have done that? All right, Sheil, what's the pick?
All right. I think, when the Eagles have had these weeks that have been drama-filled, I feel like they usually respond. And I don't love that Broncos offense. I think the Eagles defense was really good last week, even better than the numbers indicate. So I think Eagles defense plays well. I think their offense does enough. I actually think the Eagles win pretty comfortably in this game, 27-17. Eagles.
Wow, 27-17. Now, if you're an Eagles fan, you might not be thrilled that Sheil is predicting the win, as he is 1 and 3 so far this year. So, all right, Sheil.
Listen, we're flipping it. Week 5.
There we go.
This is when I get going.
All right, you're going to get hot now, just like the Eagles offense, right? You just need to warm up a little bit. All right, Sheil, we appreciate you, brother.